Ninja Kid was developed by Tosei and published by Bandai. This title hit North America on October 28th of 1986. As with Bandai's other early NES releases, the game was originally an adaptation of a manga. This time it's based off a series called Gigigi no Kitaro. However, it was made into the more generic Ninja Kid for the North American release. Gigigi no Kitaro has a fairly long history since its original manga run started in 1960. The series has seen releases and adaptations of its story since then, with the most recent being a film called Gigigi no Kitaro Explosive Japan, released in 2008. The manga and anime series is best known for the popularization of the Japanese folklore creatures called yokai. Yokai is a broad term describing spirits, ghosts, and demons in Japanese folklore. Ninja Kid is drastically different from its Japanese counterpart with a completely different plot and gameplay, including different attacks in the game and different sub-weapons. Despite the extreme changes to the game, Ninja Kid is still an interesting title as it has randomly generated overhead maps, which will lead you to semi-random levels each time you play it. The overhead map generally has the same idea in its layout, as you need to finish 3 levels to reach the treehouse, which will unlock the final level where the final boss lies. The 3 levels on the route to the final boss vary in what level type and which level you'll actually end up getting. For instance, the 2 most common levels you'll see are Poison Field and Guerrilla Warfare. Each of these 2 level types also have sub-levels which you'll play at random. Poison Field levels have you capturing what look like small clouds or possibly spirits to finish the level. Once 10 are collected, 2 doors will appear. The correct door will finish the level, while the wrong door will take you to a mini-boss fight which has to be completed additionally to finish the level. The Guerrilla Warfare levels have you eliminating 10 enemies of a certain type. The remaining 2 level types are the Dogfight and Blazing Inferno levels. The Dogfight levels have you doing air combat against what appear to be flying slugs or leeches that come at you from either side of the screen. In this mode, it's kind of hard to line up your shot as the slugs move fairly fast, and if they hit you, you're dead. The Blazing Inferno level is the most interesting and unique type of level in the game, where you have to light a certain number of candles by using the small flame that'll follow you around. This actually sounds like a lot less fun than it is, because it's actually pretty lenient on how the flame moves, and the level's pretty small. All the levels in the game are similar in that they'll continuously scroll to the right or left, repeating until you accomplish the task of eliminating, collecting, or lighting candles. This can make the levels a little confusing at first when you're figuring out how to play the game, but it isn't bad once you know what's going on. The game's difficulty is on the hard side, as it only takes 1 hit to kill you, and you have 3 deaths until a game over. The bright side is when you're killed, you respawn in the same place with the same progress. So this game requires careful, slow, methodical movements to keep yourself alive, despite how frantically you can run around if you want. The most interesting thing about Ninja Kid's gameplay is the randomality of the game. Almost every time I played it, I ended up with a different set of levels, which makes the game replayable and actually really interesting for a game of this era. While I wouldn't go as far as to say as it uses procedurally generated levels, however, it definitely throws enough randomness into the game to get a slightly different experience each time you throw it in, which prior to this game hadn't really been attempted on the NES. Graphically, the game doesn't look like anything special. You can kind of make out what things are, but it's still not great. Most levels in the game have the general idea of Japanese scenery, but the mini-bosses have you jumping up the level on generic purple blocks, which, even compared to many black box games, looks lazy. With the exception of the mini-boss, every level has the same repetitive 2-bar song that repeats forever. It's fast-paced and adds a little tension, but by no means is catchy or memorable. The loop is short enough too, it can get a little grating after time hearing it on almost every single level. Overall, Ninja Kid is a simple game with simple levels and simple goals, with a really interesting implementation. The game is one of the earliest examples of a game on the NES adding randomness into a level selection, which does keep the game feeling fresher than it should for something that's theoretically a very short game with a very awkward difficulty. Ninja Kid isn't great, but for some of the ideas that this game brings to the table, it makes it an extremely interesting NES title. NES Chronology is a Patreon-supported show, and would not be possible without the support of its patrons. If you'd like to support the show and receive some perks, click the logo and give what you can.